the aged, the elderly. People when they become old. The Bible also makes clear that all ages, including the very old, are fully human and valuable to God. And we need to stop there. Because in society, they look at you or your value according to what you produce and what you add to the society. So if you're young and healthy, you are valuable. If you are old and retiring now and to the society you're doing nothing, you're not adding to the society, then you're not that valuable. And it's a sign of respecting and fearing God, how we deal with the weak in our society, whether they are children or the elderly. And it shows a lot about who we are. So in our day, especially in the Western cultures, all persons are sometimes looked down upon. In part, this is due to the cult of youth. Youth is exalted as the fullest expression of humanity. You see the obsession now with young people going to the gym and having more muscles, and the ladies looking more beautiful like Hollywood models. And if you're not like that, then you are less, you're inferior. So there is this, what we call here, cult of youth, as if we are worshipping youth. And if you are aged or elderly, then you are not as valuable. With respect to physical capabilities, this is true, for we reach our physical peak in our 20s, and then we start dwindling down. But in other respects, maturation does not take place until later. So wisdom and maturity comes later in age. So if we only focus on health and physical ability, then it's actually in the 20s then we reach our peak. And then if we are looking for wisdom and knowledge and maturity, then we are looking for later. In part, the discrimination against the elderly is based upon a utilitarian or pragmatic approach to the assessment of individual worth. Pragmatically speaking is like practically speaking. Are you adding to the society now? Are you producing something? Or are you taking, just taking? So the pragmatic view is saying, if you give, then you are more valuable. Well, the elderly person has given to the society for many years, and now it's time for him or her to rest and to respect that. But many people don't value the elderly the same way, and it's shame and it's very sad. So the individual worth is not actually based on production and effectiveness in adding to the society. Because you can add by your wisdom. It doesn't have to be muscle work. By your maturity. The elderly are regarded as being of little value since they are not able to contribute much to society and may actually impose something of a hardship upon it. But again, this is not biblical. This is not God's view. This is what the society says nowadays in our cultures. The biblical attitude toward old age is much different. In common with the Orientals generally, the Hebrews held old age in honor. So you honor older people. And respect for the age was required. Even in the Bible it says, stand up in the presence of the aged, show respect for the elderly, and revere your God. So by showing respect to the elderly, you're actually showing that you respect your God, that you revere Him. And it's saying, stand up in the presence of the aged, of the elderly. So when I go to the metro, or I use the bus, and I'm sitting down, and an elderly person comes in, out of respect, I have to stand up. Not because there is a sign on the bus or the metro saying that. Because my God says that. If you find somebody else needs to sit, you get up and say, please have my seat. And we should teach our children that. Everybody should practice that. So this is in Leviticus 19:32 actually. And he says, and revere your God, I am the Lord. I am telling you that this is what you should do. You should respect the elderly in your society. A sign of Israel's degradation at the time of Jeremiah was its disregard of the elders. So you see, a sign of a society being well is respect for the elderly. And a sign of the degradation of society is the disregard of the elderly. So, in Lamentations 5:12, Jeremiah is lamenting the situation in his society and saying, in his time, nowadays, the elders are shown no respect. And he's lamenting that. And we should lament that in our societies. And we should teach our people. Christians should respect the elderly and the aged and revere them because we revere our God. We respect our God. And we were talking before talking about this part, we were talking about different societies. Arthur noticed that the Spanish society, they show respect to the elderly more than other cultures, I would say now on camera. But this is very important. And we don't want it to be a cultural thing. We want it to be a Christian thing. Part of our faith is to respect the elderly and to revere them. And I humbly say before you that my mother, before passing away, she was half paralyzed, and she had Alzheimer, and for about over 5 years. And we didn't send her to a nursing home or an elderly home or senior citizens. My brother and my sister and I took care of her. We fed her, we bathed her, we took care of all her needs because she's our mother. And I think Jesus would have us do that and not say, you're old, you're sick, we cannot take care of you because now it's my time to take care of my kids. It's part of my duty as a Christian to take care of my father and mother when they are elderly and take care of them. And because they took care of me when I was a child. And it is time to pay back and show respect and take care of my family and my parents. Again, this is not normal. This is not what people here in churches. I don't think people preach about this. And we need to preach about this. We need to talk about this more. And we need to teach our young people this. You take care of your parents. and respect the elderly. Then we talk about another group, not only the aged, but the unborn. The fetus, the baby in the mother's womb. So one another issue with far-reaching implications, particularly for ethics, concerns the status of the unborn or the fetus still in the mother's uterus. So the question is the fetus a person or merely a mass of tissue within the mother's body? Is the baby a person or just a mass of tissue? And according to your answer, you will deal with the baby. So people are like pro-life Christians. They would say the unborn fetus is a person. And abortion is actually killing a baby, killing a person. And then we have the other group is pro-choice, that the woman has the choice to decide on her body. They think it's only a mass of tissue. And she can discard the mass of tissue out of her womb and there is no problem. So if we choose the former, that the unborn fetus is a person, then abortion is indeed taking off a human life and has serious moral consequences. And if the latter, if we believe that the fetus is only a mass of tissue, abortion is simply a surgical procedure involving the removal of unwanted growth like a cyst or a tumor. So you just do it, it's an operation. And two types of arguments are advanced by those who contend that the fetus is indeed a person: biological and biblical. To support their view. So Christians say biologically, if we follow the development of the fetus in the womb, then it depends actually on the age of the fetus. So in 40 days, I think the heart is formed and the spinal cord. So he's beating, the heart is beating there, is a person. So you cannot just say it's a cyst or a tumor. So that's biologically. And biblically, we talk about the importance of the person since he or she is in the womb of his or her mother. Regarded by God and made by God. Frequently they are utilized together. The biological argument employs various scientific studies of the development of the fetus during the period of gestation. Next please. David comes closer to expressing this idea of him being a person as a fetus in Psalm 139. For you created me, he's talking to God, you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depth of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body, the skeleton. Here David speaks as if God had some sort of personal relationship with him when he was still in his mother's womb. We understand that there are exceptions to the rule, and sometimes maybe the mother's life is threatened if she continues the pregnancy. But we need to respect the unborn fetus and not to deal with that issue lightly as many people would do. Unfortunately, teenagers, teenage girls in high school, they get pregnant, and then we hear horrible stories when she gives birth, she takes the baby and tries to kill him by flushing the flush, and in the toilet. And what is this? What is this? What kind of respect and dignity we give to the human life? So we need again to teach our younger generation respect to the unborn fetus, and that we don't take this lightly. Another group that is discriminated against is actually the unmarried, the single people, whether they are widow or widower or single, just never married. And sometimes they are discriminated against in the church. This category deals with the marital status. There is a tendency in many societies to regard marriage as the normal state of the human being. So you're married, you're normal. If you're single, there is a problem with you. That's the mentality. So yeah, while there has been a decline in the popularity of marriage, with more and more persons choosing not to marry or postponing marriage, American culture still regards the marital state as more desirable and more natural. So now, again in high school, if a girl doesn't have a boyfriend, something is wrong with her. You're not beautiful enough, or there is some problem, or a boy doesn't have a girlfriend, there is an issue. The peer pressure, and within the church, the unmarried person often does not fit. So if she is a single lady, would we invite her home to our house, or or the single would have a single group, or there is this tension. And in Egypt, we have this problem of every time you attend a wedding, and if you are a single person, it's like, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? It's like this pressure, and you're going to celebrate the wedding of your friend, and then you go home, you're depressed because you heard the statement, this question many times, like, when are you getting married? Are you next, So we sometimes pressure single people, and we give them the impression that there is something wrong with them. The idea church programs frequently are designed for families, and the single person may feel left out. So we do all the activities or trips or picnic, or and it's a family thing, it's a family gathering. And then the single person feels like, oh, I don't fit here. And the church should actually include everybody. And then the idea that a person is truly fulfilled only within marriage may well be present, either overtly or tacitly. So it's you're only fulfilled if you're married, and it can be hinted at, or it can be direct or indirect. So you can say it differently. And in a church, so it's like you're lacking something. You're not fulfilled if you're single. And then sometimes the idea is carried still further. The command of God to the first human pair to be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. So we use this verse to whip the single people in the church. It's a command by God to get married and to be fruitful and to have children. So we give the impression to the single people that they are not fulfilling the command of God. This verse is taken to mean that persons are truly human, only when they have reproduced themselves, when they have children. And that presupposes marriage. And of course, in order to have children, you need to get married first. But Jesus never got married. He didn't. And then Paul also advises believers not to get married, and to stay as he is. And many scholars say that he was a widower or he never got married. We don't know, but for sure. But he's saying, for the sake of the trouble that we face in the world nowadays, he is actually advising people not to get married, to serve the Lord more. To focus, instead of pleasing your wife or your husband, you please the Lord more by serving the Lord more. So actually being a single is not a shame or is not something bad. It's a talent given by God. Some people are called to get married, some people are called to be single, and there is no problem with the single people. And so we don't have to pressure them every time we meet them in the church. All right. So this, we're talking here, we finished the doctrine of humanity, of human beings. Okay? We're gonna stop a little bit and then stop the camera, please, and then I will give the other file to Mariam. Thank you.